What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Shout out to every single person for being here, guys. I truly do appreciate you guys. With that being said, guys, we're now starting our $50 redraft league, guys. I'm gonna be here drafting at the 1-1. We got teabagging here at the 1-2, Jay at the 1-3, Wilson, Why Not, Beamer, Javi, Upside, Jason, Schnizzle, Moogie, and Blue here, guys. I'm here at the 1-1 in a $50 redraft league. It is gonna be one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, two flex league, guys. Everybody's going for Bijan. Everybody's going for Bijan. But I am taking Jahmyr Gibbs, guys. Hot take. I think Gibbs is going to be the overall best wide receiver. And I tell everybody this for a reason. The reason why I think Gibbs is going to be the best running back is because of the projections, guys. He's projected 5 more touchdowns than Bijan Robinson, and they're projected about the same stats. But I will go ahead and take Jahmyr Gibbs here. With that being said, we do have a special guest in the building, guys. We do have Tom Cruise here as well. Tom, you in here, my brother?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, everything's good, man. How you been?
Good. Last time was not the best.
Yeah. We fixed that up, thankfully. Everything's all good now. Now we're being, a little bit more cautious about it. But what's up, man? Have you done a lot of redrafts?
So I started with redraft. I did redraft before Dynasty, and
No,
that's
no,
how I
like
got
this
into
year.
like this year. I've done 3 or 4,
Okay. Okay.
which sleep. Or I can stream my stream and show you my leads.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No need, no need.
okay.
Who are your favorites right now you're targeting?
So I just did a let me see my last one. Best ball redraft,
Okay.
and I got JSN, which was amazing because I
Okay.
never.
At what spot?
Let's see. Read history. No. Draft results. There we go. I was at the turn. I was at 110 and 2.1. So I took
Wow.
Drake May and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And
Was it a
Superflex,
super
of
flex?
course.
Ah, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. It was a super flex 10-teamer. I have
Yeah.
not. I don't do any 10-teamers, guys. I
No,
just think the
yeah,
teams
10,
are.
10, 10 teamer.
Yep, I just think the teams are a little bit overbalanced, unfortunately. But with that being said, man, Gibbs goes at the 1-1. Bijan, Jamar, Puka Nacua, Hampton, Jason, Christian McCaffrey, JT, Amon-Ra, and then James Cook there goes there at the 110. How would you rank these wide receivers this year, bro? It's Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, and Jason. Who's your wide receiver one overall, two and three?
I like Bijan more than any of those guys. But JSN, I'm so high on him after what he did last year.
Okay, so you have do you have Jason as your here?
Two.
I'll share
Yeah,
my
it's between
screen
him
in
and
case.
Puka.
Okay, so you have Jason or Puka, and then you have Jamar Chase as your three then?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
Gibbs after that. I have Hampton pretty low compared to this. Like he's probably my
Yeah, I
sixth
mean,
pick.
Hampton just goes at the 1-5, guys. Wow, I didn't even see that. I was just naming off names. How do we feel about Hampton there at the 1-5 over Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, over James Cook and Ashton Genty? Would you guys be drafting Hampton at the 1-5 there, or is that a little bit too early, you think?
It's way too early for unproven talent.
You think he's unproven?
Yeah, he did put up lots of points per game. That's not the unproven part. The unproven part to me is consistency and how much that team is going to run with him.
Okay. I mean, Najee's not in that team anymore, man. So I'm assuming he's gonna be the workhorse, right?
Yeah, he should be, but like it's a passing first offense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not. I feel like it's a run first offense.
Oh, okay.
Harbaugh is not a pass first in college or in NFL. He never was a pass first. That's why people drafting Herbert kind of scares me because Herbert is in a run first offense. That's why Herbert's stocks kind of dipped a little bit, but he actually did not have a terrible year last year. Brian, what's up, my brother? Greg, Geg Sports Cars in here. How high on JSN? His team got worse. I think JSN is still solid. The only thing that got worse, I feel like, is Kenneth Walker, but they have Jadarian Price. Kenneth Walker and Price are kind of both. They're just such similar running backs, so I feel like it's not really too crazy there. But Jacobs goes there at the 2-8 with Hampton, man. Are you trusting Jacobs coming back week one?
No, just because of his jail issues. Like we don't know what that is. If there was no issues with the jail time or any like concerns legally, then yes.
Okay. Okay. That's the question I'm asking. Do you think with what he's facing, do you think he's gonna play week 1, you know?
I do. I think he plays, and it's pushed until next year.
Okay, so the 2-8 is still a good spot then for him, or no? Or you don't think so?
McBride is right after him. I don't believe in him enough with that. You don't know. Like we're guessing. So I would push him down to the third round, like early third round.
I agree. Do you like McBride this year?
He's the best tight ends in the league, and he was outscoring the other tight ends by a huge margin. It wasn't even close. Like tight ends 2 to 12, you could get any of them. It doesn't really matter. He's on his own tier.
I respect it. I respect it, my brother. I respect it. All right, let's see what happens here. Why not? You can repick. He did pick a lifeline here. So I'm guessing he's going to repick on Josh Jacobs. He went with Kyron Williams. I was hoping to kind of get Kyron Williams there as well. But you know what? We're going to settle on. Oh, man, I heard that. Yeah, Moogie, that's what I'm assuming what happened. That's what I'm assuming. Moogie said he heard the jail talk and bailed out. I'm assuming that's what happened too, but um, guys, I've been telling this people to nonstop, guys. I am not a fan of Jeremiah Love whatsoever. Personally, I just feel like that's the running back committee there. I don't really trust it. He's a rookie. James Conner is still there. I mean, there's a lot of they just signed Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, second round draft pick. How do you feel about Jeremiah Love, man? Would you take him in the second round?
I would, but it scares me without knowing how much Connor or anybody else is going to be involved. Like Genty last year had a slow start, and he would be complaining to the team, saying, "Hey, you drafted me in the first round." But teams just they can do what they want once they have you on the team, so
But who
it
did
scares me.
Genty have as competition?
No,
You
I get
know,
it, but like it's the NFL still at the end of the day. You went three running backs.
I did.
I
I
know
did
you
go
like doing
three.
that, but
I
man,
did. You're not a fan of it? How do you feel about my running back picks with Henry and Javante there at the 3-1 and the 2-12?
in a redraft, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those guys.
Okay. Jackson said, I'm pretty sure Jacobs isn't going to face any consequences in 2026. I don't know. Am I tripping? I don't think that you're tripping about Josh Jacobs not facing any consequences. The problem is that we don't know if he is or not. We don't know if he's just gonna go to, like, for example, when um uh Henry Ruggs got in a car crash and killed someone, the NFL isn't gonna be like, yeah, we're suspending him next year or the year after that, right? The law and the NFL are kind of two different things. Yes, it might be a money grab, it might be a cash grab by Ash Cash, but if there's any legalities to it, the, the legal system doesn't care if you're in the NFL or not. So it's just it's hard with exactly what's going to be happening with him, especially the strangulation, man. A lot of these domestic violence cases do not have strangulation as one of the domestic like violences. Like if you've seen Tyreek Hill and what he got involved, I mean, Tyreek Hill's also had a lot. Like Joe Mixon, for example, they both had domestic violence issues in the past, but there was no strangulation and intimidation on their charges. So this is a little different with Josh Jacobs. That's what people are a little bit worried about, and exactly what's going to be happening with him. But I just saw Henry Ruggs got denied, I think, parole. So it doesn't seem like he's going to be heading back to the NFL anytime soon, guys. So for all those dynasty picks that we're drafting him, just be careful with that. Big Shot said, "I'll take Hampton over Jonathan Taylor and Cook, but not CMC or Genty." What do you guys have with Hampton, man? If we take a look at Hampton, guys, for everybody watching, Tom, what do you think Hampton's projected this year for rushing yards?
Rushing yards probably over 1,000. I'd say probably 1,100.
Hampton is projected 925 rushing yards.
Wow.
That's what sportbooks have him. Javante
Yeah,
Williams
I haven't
is
drafted him at
projected
all.
more rushing yards. Um, Derrick Henry is projected more rushing yards than Hampton. But these are Vegas projections, guys. You can't always trust Vegas, but the times Vegas gets wrong is more unlikely than they are likely to get it wrong. You know what I mean? So just be careful with that. Jackson also says, I think the NFL is going to try and brush it under the rug, but we'll see. The fact that he hasn't been charged still, well, yeah, but you never know. I agree, Jackson. You never know. I think personally, I think he'll be fine. But I think the problem is that I also thought Joe Mixon was going to be fine last year. You know, I thought Joe Mixon was going to be fine. Mixon was going to come back out of a little foot injuries and going to hurt him. He ended up not playing the whole game. You know what I mean? The whole year. So that kind of worries me. But let's talk about the draft board real quick, man. Let's talk about the second round, right? Was there like look at Rashee Rice going there at the 2-5? How do you feel about that?
I hate Upside Fantasy's team, but it's his name, his moniker is Upside Fantasy, and these are two Upside players, Edbuka and Rice. Man, I do not like that team.
All right, I don't blame you, man. And how do you feel about, in your opinion, AJ Brown getting drafted before Nico Collins and Malik Neighbors? Do you like that? Do you think that's where he should be going?
Him and Collins, I see both of their upside. I think they're equal. I could go either way. Neighbors, I think Neighbors would have even gone after Pickens. Even after Olave and McMillan, Neighbors is going to miss significant time. I think people are overdrafting him like way too early.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I do think Neighbors should be in the fourth round. His injury does scare me. I don't know if you saw that charity softball, but he couldn't even run properly. Maybe he
Yeah,
was just,
yeah, he couldn't.
yeah, maybe he's just, I don't know what's going on with him. But then, man, let's look at Upside Fantasy's team, right? He goes with Rice, Egbuka, and then Luther Burden there at the 4-5.
That's nasty.
How do you feel about that, man? Do you feel like that's a lot of upside, or do you feel like, you know what, that's actually
It's a lot
justified?
of downside.
Downside.
His name should be Downside Fantasy.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. Josh Allen goes there at the 4-9, then Jalen Waddle there at the 4-4. Do you like Waddle this year?
I do. I love Waddle. He's one of my favorite players just because I'm a Dolphins fan.
I'm also a
He's going to
Dolphins
be
fan. Are
hyper
you
targeted.
are you in South Florida?
No, California.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you just a Dolphins fan like that?
Yeah, I'd watched them growing up, like the colors as a little kid, and then just stuck with it, committed to
Okay.
them.
I don't blame you, man. We call the Dolphins the South Florida Packers down here in Miami.
We're a little bit worse than the Packers, but yeah, thank you.
No, no, that's because you guys took all the Packers as players. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, Miami
And the
South. Yeah,
coaches. Yep, and the coaches and everything. All right, but let's see who I'm taking here, man. I think my first wide receiver has to be Zay Flowers. All right. And this might surprise you, man. I have not seen Bucky Irving here in the fifth round. And I'm not even I know I have three wide receivers, guys. I know. I haven't seen him in the fifth round yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and take him here. How do you feel about Bucky here?
I have never drafted Bucky. He scares me,
Why?
but just because I've never trusted him. There's something
Come
about him that
on.
I've never. It's always been hyped to me, but I know he's been decent. It's kind of like Jerry Judy. Like I just never liked the player. Something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's talk about DJ Moore right behind Zay Flowers, right? DJ Moore at 4'11", why not said, say something. How do you feel about DJ Moore there at the 4'11" before I say anything? Do you like that?
Not really. I like a lot of other players here. Um, DJ Moore, he's going to an offense where Josh Allen has not had a wide receiver one. People always say he's going to be the next Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen, but that didn't happen for like Amari Cooper. That didn't happen for these players like Shakir or anybody else on the team. He doesn't. It's a different offense. He spreads the ball around. It's not going to be the same. And DJ Moore's coming off a bad year. He's not the same person. So all around, I would go with somebody else.
I agree, man. The reason DJ Moore scares me is because of the Amari Cooper comparisons. But what I will say is, man, Diggs plays in the slot, right, guys? Or do you know where Diggs plays?
Yeah, he played all around. He wasn't fixed to the slot primarily, yes, but they did have him at X occasionally. So
Yeah. So I think the reason why Stephon Diggs did so well with Josh Allen is because they made him be a slot receiver a lot of the times. You know what I mean? And then they made him go on the edge. Well, DJ
yeah, for sure.
Moore, is DJ Moore a slot receiver? I thought he was an outside. Yep, he is an outside. So DJ Moore is kind of an outside. And I just Amari Cooper was also on the outside. I just feel like I don't know, man. I can't get behind them personally. Mike Evans, I do like there at the 5-2. Drake May goes at the 4-10, right after Josh Allen. Is Drake May your quarterback too this year?
I hate it, but yes, I can't deny.
Okay, you can't deny it. I don't blame you. I still have Lamar just a tad bit over Drake May, but Drake May at the 4-10, I feel like is a little bit too early. But as a quarterback too, I don't mind it whatsoever. We do have Jadarian Price going there at the 5-8. Do you like Price's price tag this year?
He's my number one drafted running back this year because I just believe that offense is going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns, and they don't have another running back on the roster. Charbonnet is going to be doing that, so until he's back healthy, Price should be getting 15 points more or more a game. Um,
Okay.
he's going to be like on Hampton's level, but as soon as Charb comes back, then he's going to be back down to earth probably. But no, I'm so high on him. His price next year is going to be third, second round.
The argument with Price is that Emmanuel Wilson is there. And as a Packer fan, guys, I understand Emmanuel Wilson is not, you know, a bad backup. He's pretty decent. But they're not going to spend a first round pick on a running back for him to split carries with an Emmanuel Wilson who they signed in the offseason. I don't think that's going to be happening personally. I agree with you. I do have Price as one of my most drafted running backs. So I do like him as well. I also like Judkins there at the 5-3 as well. I'm a big fan of that as well. Let's talk about some other picks here. Who do you like? Devonte Adams here at the 5-7. He's turning 34 years old. Is this the year we see him digress?
I love him. I really have tried to convince myself that he's not going to be good. But in the LA Rams offense and what they just did, getting Garrett Williams, kind of just you can't deny the touchdown um, ability he has. Just the amount of times they're going to be in the red zone, even if his touchdowns go to like about 8 to 10, he's still a great flex player. He took him as his wide receiver two because he didn't have anybody else. But you can't convince yourself that he's going to be bad. I can't at least. I've tried.
I don't blame you, man. And then Cardinal Tate goes there at the 6-2. Before we talk about Cardinal Tate, guys, shout out to everybody for being here. Don't forget, we are doing another draft after this. It's going to be a $25 draft, so make sure you guys join that one up too. It might be a super flex. We'll see if the people want a super flex. But let's talk about Bashal Tuden here at the 6-1. How do you feel about him this year? Is he this year's Chase Brown or is he this year's Zamir White?
I think he's a little bit towards the Zamir White side, but not all the way down there. I think he'll be very mid. Um, he's 5'9". I always like Genty, Hampton or not Hampton. What's that guy's name on the Broncos? That's 5'8".
Harvey?
Harvey. Yeah, these small size running backs, I just have a hard time with. Um, I think he could be maybe around 800 yards. I don't know what Vegas has him as, and then the touchdowns. Hopefully, with that offense, hopefully he gets maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns or more. But I just don't believe in him until he shows it.
Okay, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And then Cardinal Tate goes there at the 6-2, man. Do you think Titans are going to be very reliant on Cardinal Tate, or do you think it's going to be more of a Wandale Robinson and Cardinal Tate show there?
I think it's going to be both. Ed Buka is very similar to Tate to me, where they're both just going to have stretches of good games. Um, I can't say he's going to be the number one just based off them signing $70 million for the other guy. I
I don't
also
blame you.
I'm looking at Blue's team. I love his team, even though he did take Tootin. Blue drafted just all secure, great players.
All right, man. How do you feel about Marvin Harrison this year?
Hyper targeted, bad.
Hyper
Those are two words
targeted.
I would describe him.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he will. The coaching staff is going to try to get him involved heavily, because the talent's there. But bad is my second word because I don't think he's going to break out.
Wow. You think after one and two, year three is in his breakout year, huh?
Jacoby Brissett won 0 games last year, and they have another quarterback that's not good. Beck, or I'm assuming he's not going to be good based on where he was drafted. So with his team being bad, there's no touchdown upside, and it's just going to be meaningless targets to me.
I somewhat agree with you, but thankfully I have Marv on my bench. I have Alec Pierce here on my flex as my wide receiver too. Zay Flowers, I drafted a bunch of players, so thankfully now my bench is going to be decently strong. Now my quarterback and tight end is going to be on the weaker side, but I just can't justify taking anybody other than Loveland, Warren, McBride, or Bowers until the 7th round. For example, Harold Fannin, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts. Don't get me wrong, Sam Laporta. They're good tight ends, but I just feel like the it's a deeper tight end squad this year. And then Michael Wilson goes right after Marvin Harrison Jr. Man, do you think Michael Wilson is gonna be taking that wide receiver one spot from Marvin Harrison?
I can't see that. I think Harrison will be the number one. Um, I believe it was when he got injured. It was when Wilson was breaking out. So I don't see them both being fantasy relevant.
Okay, I respect it. And then Michael Pittman goes to why not at the 7-5 before DK Metcalf. How do you feel about that? Do you think Michael Pittman is going to be the one there over DK Metcalf, or do you think that's a little bit of a reach for Pittman?
I do think it's a little bit of a reach, but I don't mind it. I just see players with better upside later, um, especially when you're this late in the draft. I try to go for what team they're on, and I don't believe in Pittsburgh very much with Aaron Rodgers. Um, DK Metcalf, I don't believe in him either. So it's hard. We're at a spot in the draft where you got to pick guys you believe in. I would rather go with someone like either Quentin Johnston, Wandale Robinson, some of these other guys. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. I would have won with Parker Washington over Wilson, Tyson, Pittman, and Sutton personally, but you're talking about Quentin Johnson and Wandale Robinson. Tell me what makes you have them stand out to you because I personally don't like Wandale at all.
yeah. There's something that I've been trying to keep in mind is follow the money when it comes to these players that get signed from other teams. And it doesn't always work out, but I find that especially the first year after someone signs, that team will try to, you know, show other people, show the world that they're going to be part of the offense and important. So I just think he's going to have a significant role because they signed him to that contract, and he's going to be the number one for a while in
Oh,
Tennessee.
come on, dude.
Johnson, I think he's going to be uh, boom or bust, and he's someone you could switch out with your wide receiver one or two on those bye weeks. So that's why I like him. But they're
Results
all,
earlier.
you just got to take the player you believe in at this part of the draft.
I agree. I agree. And then Quentin Johnson goes there in the seventh round. DK Metcalf falls all the way to the 7th, 12th, gentlemen. People might just be out on DK Metcalf, but look at the quarterback value now, right? Would you rather have Drake May here at the 410, or would you rather have Joe Burrow here in the 8th round? Or Jaden Daniels? Or Jalen Hurts? I
Have
don't
Jaden
feel like
Daniels,
I,
Hurts, any
I
of those
just
guys.
I agree. I just don't feel like the quarterback tier or points are going to be that vastly different for it to justify taking somebody like a Drake May at the 410 over taking a quarterback here in the 8th round. Do you know what I'm saying?
And there's still like tight ends, all these Loveland, Warren, Fannin, Kraft, like even Bowers up there. There's not a big jump between number 2 and number 12 in my opinion. So
I
I like
agree.
your strategy of waiting on tight end and quarterback. Um, I also noticed that Menandrai went at 6'11". How do you feel about Menandrai this year?
I personally would take Rico over Manangai, but Manangai's projections have gone up while DeAndre Swift's projections have gone down. Not by much, by only 25 yards, rushing yards. So maybe sport books are thinking, um, maybe they like Manangai and what he's been showing off in OTAs. I'm not sure exactly, but I personally would take Rico Dottle there at the 7-3, but Rico didn't go that far off of Manangai. How do you feel about Manangai?
With Swift there, I don't really believe in Menandrai. He's proven me wrong, and maybe I'll regret saying that. I did notice that it's Jackson 600 or 6017 said, "Is the Luther hype justified?"
Yep. How do you feel about him?
I like Odunze more, but I mean, with I think I told you this last time when we were doing team reviews that Odunze was the wide receiver one with Burden on the field, and then when Burden stepped up, it was when Odunze got hurt. So I can't believe until I see that on the field that Burden is actually taken over, just because Odunze put up those wide receiver one numbers early
I
last year.
agree. I agree with you. I feel like Adunze and Burden are basically Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison, where Michael Wilson popped off or when Marv got injured. Just like the good games that Luther Burden had was the games where Rome Odunze was kind of injured. So I also believe in that. And then, guys, we have Kenneth Gainwell falling to the 8-2. J.K. Dobbins there at the 8-1. But the one I want to talk about is Chris Godwin there at the 6-8 going to Why Not? How do you feel about Godwin there? Do you feel like he's going to be the one, or do you think it's still like Buka? It might be Buka's team.
I think it's going to transition into Ed Bucha's team. The real question is when, and we don't know that. He does have a good contract, and I like that with Godwin. The team doesn't want to move on from him, which is good. But I think the writing's on the wall with that team and with his age. I don't hate Godwin there. I was surprised at the 7-10 with Corum going off over Dobbins and Gainwell, especially when Dobbins has been getting more involved and is the clear RB1 now on that team.
I agree. I agree. And man, I know you like Jaden Daniels over Joe Burrow, but I just feel like when Burrow is healthy, he is the guy there. You know what I mean? But you would take Jaden Daniels over Joe Burrow
I would. I like the rushing upside.
of Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, it might not sound like a lot because Joe Burrow is the better overall quarterback, but just the rushing, you can't beat that in Dynasty or fantasy in general. So
Oh man, I don't blame you for thinking that at all. It just I don't know, man. When Daniels with Debo Samuel not being there anymore, or with them only having Terry McLaurin there, with them not having really a strong running back squad, I just feel like Daniels is gonna have to do a lot by himself, and that might lead him to an injury. Now you could say the same thing about Burrow, where Burrow, O line is really bad, but they've been really trying to, try to fix it. I'm not saying they did fix it, but they've been trying to fix that O line. So I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow there at the 9-1, but I don't mind Jaden Daniels at all either. When Jaden Daniels is usually available, I go ahead and take him. But I'm gonna switch it up, take some Joe Burrow here. And then I take Sam Laporta here at the 8-12, who literally finished off last year and the year before that as a top 8 tight end. Rookie year, he was the number 1 tight end. The year before, last year, he was number 8. And then last year, he was injured. So he was, you know, it didn't really count. But how do you feel about Laporta there at the 8-12?
I his mustache is the best, but I love Laporta. He's one of my favorite tight ends, even though he's not been the best. And I think you could have even waited. I usually do wait on tight end until the 11th or 12th rounds, but um, you can't go wrong with someone like Laporta. There's between him and like someone like Warren or Fannin or these other guys, there's not going to be a midpoint difference per game unless one of them just breaks out to the moon. So I think you're great there. The only real concern with your team is like the Harrison, really, just the lack of possible touchdowns with Indianapolis and Arizona scares me. But the rest of your players are really good.
Yeah.
Right after you, T-Batting must have been listening because he went Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels got there, and the reason I went with Laporta there is because usually I feel like I can get a Kelsey or George Kittle, at the 10th, 12th, or at the 10th round or the 11th round. But it seemed like people are now taking more and more of Kelsey and Kittle here in the ninth rounds before he can even make it to the 10th round. So after they do go, who's on your next tier list of tight ends? Is it Mark Andrews? Is it Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Godston? Isaiah Likely. Who do you like after Kelsey and Kittle?
Click on tight end, so I just did a rundown of these. Because Kittle, he's healthy now, and that's why people are now higher on him. Um, I like Hunter Henry for redraft for
Wow.
the last two
Tell
years,
me why.
just
Because,
because his he's the check down for Drake May that is like the safety valve. And I've watched it when I watch Patriots games. Every game, Hunter Henry, when Drake May does not know where to go with the ball, he throws it to Henry. I don't know what that guy does, but he's always the check down. He always gets touchdowns. He's heavily targeted in the red zone. 7 touchdowns last year. He's just become that reliable target for May.
now my question to you is who was the wide receiver 1 last year for May?
It was Diggs.
Yeah. Yeah. And Diggs wasn't, would you say Diggs was amazing?
For his age, I would say he definitely did way better than I thought he would do.
Yeah. The problem I think Drake May had was that even though Diggs was, still decent, he wasn't amazing. And AJ Brown, I feel like, is going to be amazing. He's younger, prime years. Not only that, they also have a slot receiver with Romeo Dobbs now, a really good one too. They signed him to a lot of money. So I feel like Drake May, the reason why he was checking it down to Hunter Henry so much is because he didn't really have a lot of options, um, with who he was throwing it to. So I feel like now that he has options, Hunter Henry's gonna be getting worked out of the rotation, in my opinion. He's turning 32 years old. I still think he's gonna be somewhat valuable, but I don't think he's gonna have a top 10 tight end season like he did last year. And people are surprised that Hunter Henry had a top 10 tight end season, but yeah, he did. But that's mainly because, in my opinion, I don't think Drake May really had a lot of targets there. But if we take a look at that, um, how do you feel about Jonathan Brooks there at the 10-2? Do you feel like Brooks has a chance to beat out Chuba Hubbard for that running back 1 role?
I don't. Um, Brooks is one of those players that I haven't believed in, and Hubbard, he just has way more upside to me. I am I not seeing something in Brooks? Like I don't know if you can tell me or convince me on him, but I haven't seen it yet or convinced myself.
I mean, I'm with you. He's been injured. I mean, the only upside I see is I want you to guess before, without looking around anything, how old he is.
26,
Wow, you're close, man. I'll give you one more guess.
25.
He's 22 years old.
No way.
He's 22 years old. So that's why I meant the only upside is his age, because he is so young. But I feel like maybe it's not this year. Maybe it'll be next year when he's 23 years old. He has a little bit more experience playing. You know what I mean? In the NFL, in the workload. But he is very young. Yeah, it's crazy to think that he got drafted when he was turning 20 years old.
Yeah, that's wild that they drafted him that like. Is that legal? That shouldn't be legal.
I think that's just like Braylon Allen. I think they graduated early or committed to college early. Like Braylon Allen is still 21 years old, I think, right now. If we take a look at Braylon Allen, yeah, 22. My bad. Braylon Allen is the same age as. Yeah, they got drafted in the same year. So Braylon Allen and Jonathan Brooks got drafted in the same year. So they're both young as well. But my bad, Jonathan Brooks. Actually, yeah, they got drafted in the same year. But anyways, with that being said, I am picking here next at the 10, 12, 11, 1. Do you think any, like, how do you feel about Stephon Diggs this year?
I don't like that he doesn't have a team yet. I think that he will be about a 8 to 900 yard receiver, similar to DeAndre Hopkins when he was still getting decent yardage the first little bit, switching to the Cardinals and then moving on from them. I don't. I'm not out on Diggs, but it's scary not knowing what team he's going to be on. Because he could join a team like the Jaguars if he's desperate enough, and then like, is he going to get targets on that team? No. So it's hard to know for sure.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Guys, we have over 10 people watching, man. Shout out to everybody still tuning in with us. With that being said, if you're in the draft room and you want your team reviewed, please go ahead and type something in here so I know in the YouTube live stream so I know you want your team reviewed. If you guys don't type anything in there, I'm going to assume you guys don't want your team reviewed. So I'm just going to go ahead and make an announcement. Please go ahead and type your name in the YouTube live chat. Type your sleeper name in the YouTube live chat to get a team review. All right, guys. With that being said, like I told everybody, I know there's some people watching right now. If you guys don't want one, that's totally all right. But if you guys do want one, please go ahead and do that now. Beamer does want a review, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of Beamer's team here. Let me give you the link to the draft. I know I'm screen sharing, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you the link to the draft so you can see Beamer's team real quick. I want you to talk about Beamer's team before I do. I want you to give you your review, and then I'll go ahead and talk about Beamer's team.
All right, give me a second. While this is loading, you always like to go running back heavy. Is there a reason for that in your strategy?
I want you to guess how many points the wide receiver 12 had last year.
240.
Wow. Okay. The wide receiver 12. It was Jameson Williams. He finished as 219 points. Last year was probably one of the worst years for wide receivers, and I think what's happening now is that people are transitioning into using running backs a little bit more in the NFL. Running back usage has gone up. The reason I do like that is because you can always get wide receivers here in the waivers. You can always get a Puka Nacua. You can always get a Wandale Rob or whoever, for a cheaper price. But you can get a stud running back, in my opinion. Now, when Kyren Williams got onto the scene, he was on the waivers. He was getting drafted. He was getting, I think Cam Akers slept with Sean McVay. Something happened, and then Sean McVay just stopped using Cam Akers, traded him, and had Kyren Williams just start. That was like an anomaly. It was an exception, but I just don't feel like there's a lot of running backs in the waivers that are very, very good when you need it. So the reason I like stacking up on running backs is because if one of my running backs gets hurt, I can always trust my other one. But if one of my wide receivers gets hurt, I can always grab a wide receiver from the waivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have that team pulled up for Beamer. I see he drafted the 1.6, Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then he went London, Pickens, Wilson. 4 wide receivers right away. So he went the opposite strategy as you.
Yep.
He said, no, I'm going to find. He got Hubbard and Warren, and then in the 8-7 he got Jones for running back. He, in my opinion, Hubbard isn't even to me a running back one. Warren has people who don't believe in him this year. He's being drafted a lot lower than I would have thought when I first started drafting this offseason. I expected Warren to be a round or two higher, but people are just scared about that room. And with hearing about Johnson getting RB1 snaps, it's concerning. And then you got Fannin, Addison at the 9-6, Lawrence, and then he went Goff. So he has quarterbacks locked down. That's fine. No one to write about with quarterbacks, but he has two. And then wide receivers, I don't think he has a bad wide receiver except for maybe his last one was Addison, but he doesn't need to start him um, as his one or two. So really, it's just his running backs is the weak point of his team. I would have rather him drafted Price over Hubbard. I'd rather seen him draft like a Wandell Robinson over Jones, or uh, maybe even going with someone with more upside, like Golden possibly. But I understand he was running back heavy at that point. He kind of pigeonholed himself there.
I agree. I agree. What would you rate this team 1 out of 10, brother?
I would give the team. I think it's going to be competitive. I think he's going to be winning over 500, and so I'm going to say about a 7.
Okay,
Um,
okay. I don't blame you.
I think that's generous, but it depends on if he drafts. Oh, he did Boston. If he doesn't draft any more running backs, I'm gonna have to go lower, maybe 6.5. But yeah, I just can't. I don't think this is a playoff contender. I think this is a over 500 team.
I love what he did with his wide receivers, Beamer. I love what you did. But then instead of Chuba, man, you should run with Jadarian Price easily. And instead of Warren, this might be a hot take. You should run with Tony Pollard. I feel like Pollard's job and position is more secure than Jalen Warren with Rico Dowdle, in my opinion. You could have played that so much better. Instead of Aaron Jones, I feel like you should run with Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason went here at the 9-3. You could have took him over Aaron Jones. I would take Jordan Mason over Aaron Jones personally. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I am seeing there's another person that wants his team reviewed. But yeah, what's your rating on this team?
Yes, sir. I would personally give this team because of the running back room. I still think it's really, really nice, Beamer. It's just you could have won with different running backs personally, and I think Jared Goff was kind of a waste of a pick. You really don't need Jared Goff here at the 11-6. You have T-Law. You really don't need Jared Goff there. You could have waited until 13th or 14th round to grab somebody. I'll probably give your team a 6.6 out of 10, my brother. 6.6 out of 10. All right, let me see who I'm going here with. Oh shoot, 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 shoot. Okay, I'll go with Sharp. At the 12. I know he's not playing half the year. I know, guys. I know. And then I'll go with Emmett Johnson. Uh, let's see. Yeah. Do you like Emmett Johnson this year, or do you like Alvin Kamara a little more?
I don't like either of those guys personally.
Ooh.
I would rather go with somebody, um, either another tight end. I mean, you're at the end of the draft pretty much. I like Okonkwo. I like some of the other guys you could get at this point.
All right. Well,
Kamara, I think the writing's on the wall that he's done, but um, Mike Washington's even an upside player, but I like Spears a lot. I would just be going upside at this point.
I don't blame you, man.
And Hawkinson looks great.
I had Hawkinson queued. I didn't want to pick Hawkinson, to be honest. I had him queued. I wanted to pick up Godston instead. But how do you feel about Godston this year before we do other teams?
I was high on him until they drafted or traded for an Njoku.
Yep.
Um, it changed. It ruined that whole hype train I had going for Gadsden. He's still probably going to be in the like maybe tight end 30 range, but until Ninjoku goes away, he's going to be the second guy there. So
All right. I don't blame you at all. All right, what we're gonna do now is that we are gonna take care of we just took care of Beamer's. Now we're gonna take care of Jason's team. People actually like how you're reviewing these teams, brother. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and review Jason's team here for me.
yeah, he has the 1.9. He went St. Brown, Waddle, McLaurin, Washington, Lemon, and Higgins as his wide receivers. He went Barkley and Hall in the second and third, with Jordan Mason as a backup. And he has Lamar Jackson in the 6-4, which I think is actually a really great value for an upside rushing quarterback. Um, I am looking, and I'm not seeing any holes on his entire team. You could say his backup running back in Jordan Mason's not the best, but to me, this is a championship built team. I think he could easily walk away with the ship. I don't know if I'm seeing anything differently than you, but uh, I'm a heavy believer that McLaurin's going to bounce back. If you wanted to poke holes in that, you could. And Lemon, I like to say he's like a Jay Snake because of that meme going around. But yeah, I just think that even though his weak spots of his roster are not the best, I can't say they're gonna be duds. And I think that his team overall's maybe might be the highest grade I've given a team. I would probably say 8.7.
Wow, I respect that. Jason is a great drafter, guys, but he decided to take a vacation in the playoffs of the fantasy football season last year to the Philippines. Now, hey, Jason, I hope the vacay was worth it, bro. I think you should have kind of set your lineups. I know Jason forgot to set some of his lineups there, but I hope vacation time will be planned out just a little bit different this year because you are a great drafter, broski. You're one of the best drafters that I played with. Um, but yeah, I agree. Your team's very highly rated here. I agree with the rating you gave him. All right, now I want you to do Mugiwara's team. Go ahead and take care of Mugiwara's team.
All right, that's a great name. Mujiwara, Genti, Brown, Statabu. So he went with your strategy of RB heavy. And then with wide receiver, he went McConkey, Watson, who just got paid, Tate, Quintus Johnston, and then at the end, Hunter and Williams, which are dart throws. But he got Herbert at the 9-11 and has no backup quarterback. I know this isn't Superflex, but not having a backup quarterback, this best ball or no? Can we pick up players
Nope.
off waivers?
No. Yeah, you can pick up players off waivers. This is right
Okay,
lineup.
so then it's not as big of a deal. But still, to not know who that's going to be is kind of scary after the draft. And then Ferguson, Gadsden, I love that. Just because Ferguson should still be top 12 and be a great option for you. I still think this is a great team. I like all three of his first picks with Stratabu. Um, and his wide receivers, none are superstars, but they're all going to be pretty solid. I could see them having down weeks though. Um, I think this team's more on the lines of a 7.5 though, personally. What do you think?
I agree. I agree with you. The one thing I would say is I do like this team a lot with the young players you have. For example, if we take a look at your wide receivers, McConkey, Watson, Carnell Tate, and Quinton Johnston. Those are very, very young wide receivers. Now, Christian Watson, yes, he's 27. But what I mean by young is that he hasn't hit his prime yet because he's been so injured. Quentin Johnson hasn't hit his prime yet. Lad McConkey, you could say his rookie year was his prime, but that was still with Keenan Allen, I think. So, I still really like uh, your wide receivers there. Now, your quarterbacks does scare me, like he said, and your tight ends does scare me as well. But I do agree with his rating. All right, we're gonna go with Blues team next. Go ahead and take care of Blues team here at the 112.
All right. Blue drafted his first 5 picks perfectly to me. CD Lamb, he's on the turn. CD Lamb, A Chain. Then he goes McMillan and Jacobs. Gets a great value on Jacobs. I know you were, uh, he got undrafted earlier in this draft. Then he went Warren. and there's a lot of upside there. What the mistake to me was going with Tootin. Uh, I would have rather gone with someone like Warren over Tootin personally, but to me they both have great upside and they're kind of interchangeable. Depends on what team you like more and who you believe in more. Then he goes Metcalf, Dobbins. I'm not as high on Metcalf. I think he's more of an 800-yard receiver. I would have rather him gone at that point getting a rushing quarterback like Hurts, or even someone with maybe possibly more upside than Lemon. Now that Brown is gone, and then he got Dart, which is great at the 9-12, but then no quarterback two again. So Concepcion is possibly going to be a great wide receiver one. Then you got Rashid, Shaheed, and some fill-in players. I'm going to give this team. I don't think it's as good as Jason's team, but I'm still going to say let's 7.8.
Okay, I respect it. I respect it. Jason said, appreciate the review. Great job reviewing the teams, by the way. Yeah, people are liking your review so far, my brother. Good job. I agree with what you said. I do like this team and the fact where we got Jacobs, even though, what's happening with him. I still like that. I like the Ted McMillan pick. I think HN has a lot of upside. Warren's very safe. Tudor I actually like more than Jalen Warren personally because I think he has less competition in his running back room than Jalen Warren does with Rico Dottle. But I don't hate that at Metcalf. I actually think he got it at a decent spot, but I would still have Makai Lemon over Metcalf due to the upside. We know what Metcalf has done, and we think he's kind of digressing. We haven't seen what Lemon could do with that offense. But Blue, shout out to you for being here. I appreciate you. Schnizzle also wants to review. Go ahead and take care of Schnizzle's team, my brother.
Yeah, I see he took at the 110 Cook. Then he went Jefferson, three wide receivers here: Jefferson, Olave, Smith. So he's not buying into that running back scarcity drafting strategy. And then he went Loveland, which I think Loveland is going to be the superstar of this team. Loveland will either make this team the championship team or not show up like people expect. Then he goes Williams, Blake Corum, which I think is the worst pick of his entire team. He got Hurts, Tracy, Prescott, so he has two great quarterbacks. Woody Marks, who is still going to have some fantasy relevance, Algier, and then some throwaway picks. I do think that this running back room has a problem with no real running back two here, but I think everywhere else is completely solid. If I was drafting over, I would take one of these other running backs like Dobbins um, after, instead of Quorum. So I'm going to say this team is a 7, and it seems like every review is kind of getting worse and worse, just barely. But very competitive team, and with Loveland, if he breaks out, it could be an even higher rated team in the end, and could end up making this guy win. So, what do you think about this
I
team?
just don't think he needed JMO there at the 6'3". I think he already had three elite wide receivers there. He has a good tight end. He has a running back. Why not go ahead and pick up a Jalen Warren there or a Tony Pollard there at the 6'3"? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Um,
then you could see him compensating after that,
yep,
going 5 running backs. Yeah,
yep. I agree with you as well. And then not only did he take Jalen Hurts, but he also decided to take a Dak Prescott there in the 10th round. I don't see why he would do that. He could have took another running back like a Chris Rodriguez who could compete for the running back one spot with Bashal Tutin there in Jacksonville. It just I feel like you could have done differently. I would actually give this a lower rating than you did, but we'll keep it at your rating for now. All right. Now we are gonna go ahead and take care of. I believe Jay wanted a review at the 1-3. Go ahead and take care of him if you can, please.
yeah. Drafting, I think everybody's favorite player, Jamar Chase. Then he goes Brown, Neighbors, and when I saw him draft Neighbors, I'm always shocked at where he goes in redraft, just because of the injury, because we've seen him limping. We don't know if he's going to miss half the year. Uh, I could see him easily going on the pup. So I was shocked going two wide receivers and then drafting Neighbors when there's still love there. It just didn't really make sense to me. Then he went May. I could see why. He's my number two quarterback. Judkins, Stevenson, Dowdle. Um, I Stevenson. I've believed in him for a long time, but I think he's finally going to hit that wall this year with how uh, Hendo has been showing that and should be the guy. Then he goes Pitts, Chelsea, Connor, and Juwan Jennings. And then at the very end, he gets Jeremiah Love, or not Jeremiah Love, Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers. I think this is a very solid team, but I think again that running back room is just not going to put him in a playoff competitive shape. I would rather him instead of Neighbors go with Love or Henderson. If he's liking Stevenson later, then he could have stacked them up, and this team would have been a lot better. I'm gonna say it's a little bit. I like it a little bit more than the Loveland team. I'm gonna go 7.2.
Okay, I respect it. What I will say about this team, man, is that I don't understand the James Conner pick there at the 10-10, the Juwan Jennings pick there at the 11-3, and I don't understand that personally. James Conner is not only a backup, but he's also competing for the backup role with Tyler Algier, and he's getting older. I feel like Tyler Algier's got that spot. Not only that, Juwan Jennings, he's a wide receiver 3. When are we seeing wide receiver 3s getting drafted with a new quarterback with Kyler Murray, who's throwing to him? It just your bench, in my opinion, is really weak. I think that needs to be improved. But what I will say is that I do like the Judkins pick, but then the Ramondre Stevenson there at the 6'10", and I don't understand that personally. I understand that he got paid, but at that point, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I feel like the Drake May pick there at the 410 was really, really early as well. Let's just say, right? You didn't go with Drake May here. Let's just say you went with a running back here instead of Bucky Irving, right? Or a DeAndre Swift here instead of Drake May. And then instead of a tight end here with Kyle Pitts at the 810, you go ahead and took a Joe Burrow or a Jaden Daniels. Your team would have been significantly better, Jay, if you had that. If you had a DeAndre Swift with Judkins or a Bucky Irving with Judkins and your quarterback was Joe Burrow instead of having Drake May and then Ramondre Stevenson as your running back too. That's what I will say with that. All right, brother. I believe someone couldn't comment. Let's go ahead and take a look at who could not comment. It won't let me comment on YouTube. All right, go ahead and take care of Upside. Did we take care of Upside's team already? No, I don't think we
No, we
did.
did not.
All right,
We roasted him during the draft, but
we did. We
I
did.
called this team downside. But let's see if he turned it
All
around.
right, let's see it.
Uh, so he got Jonathan Taylor. He was at the 1-8 spot here. Then he went Rice, Adbuta, Burden, Price, and Brian Thomas. His wide receivers are really what I had an issue with. We said downside because he took players like Rice, Adbuta, and Burden, who all could be, really great receivers this year. They have a lot of hype and upside, which is true to his name. But just as easily, these guys like Rice could be in jail or suspended or injured. Adbuka was hot at times, but has not shown that he could play a full year and be that number one alpha receiver. And Burden with Odunze, the same similar situation where a wide receiver one goes down and then he steps up and is relevant. I don't know if he can do that with Odunze on the field. So really, I do love his. I know it's a late dart throw, but Branch has impressed right now at camp. He's one of those risers I have that I'm liking more and more. And he does get a player in Price that I love at 5'8". So he does have some guys that I'm really high on. But overall, I think this team is more of a 6.5 in my opinion. I would rather him at like any of these wide receiver picks go someone that has way more upside or experience in London or Pickens or AJ Brown. Just solidify that room before you start taking these guys that have hype. You can do this, but I wouldn't recommend it as a strategy if that's all you're going to be doing. What do you think about this?
What I will say is, man, after he heard us say, he's taking a lot of upside wide receivers. He took one upside wide receiver with Rice, another upside wide receiver with Egbuka, another upside wide receiver with Luke Burden. He said, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna quadruple down on it and take another upside wide receiver with Brian Thomas." You know what I mean?
Respect it.
I mean, hey, you got to stick to what you believe in, what your core values are, and if your core values are upside wide receivers that might shit the bed, um, or that might explode, I'm all for that, brother. What I do think is I do love where you got Jadarian Price. I will say that. I love where you got Jonathan Taylor. I like where you got Tucker Craft. I like where you got Rashad White and JCM. And your quarterbacks with Caleb Williams at the 11-8 and then Patrick Mahomes at the 12-5 is amazing. But what I will say is, unfortunately, this wide receiver room is too uncertain. We don't know exactly how they're gonna do. It's very, very risky. If it pays off, you win the league. If it doesn't, you're in the last place. This is not a middle of the tier pack. It's either you're really good or you're really terrible. So we'll see what happens with that. But with that being said, man, I think we took care of all the teams that wanted reviews. If we missed it, please go ahead and comment down, guys. If we missed your team, please go ahead and comment down. I believe, let me take a look. Jason, um, team Why Not? Did we take a look at Why Not? No, we did not. Right? Why Not with 4 running backs? We did not. Go ahead and take care of Why Not's team real
We did
quick,
not.
and then that'll be the
Yeah,
last
so
team.
he's the guy that did. It's like he listens to you or watches you all the time. Just he went with your strategy of heavy running back. He was at the 1.5. He drafted Hampton, Williams, ETN, and Manunjai. Or no, it's not Manunjai. It's Montgomery. Excuse me. Um, I really like the running backs, but I'm scared to go four in a row. It I'm interested to see how his wide receiver room came out. He went Adunze, who I actually do believe in. Godwin, who I really don't this year. Pittman, I think he could be okay. Downs, he has upside in Golden, upside again. So his wide receivers, even though upside drafted wide receivers a lot higher at the 2, 3, and 4, these receivers are just as bad as upsides, in my opinion, except for Odunze. Um, he does have Purdy and Chuck at the as his quarterbacks. Then he has Okonkwo, who I'm not bid on as your tight end one. I would have to say this team might be the worst team I've ever graded.
Holy
Just
moly!
personally,
I don't blame you.
I'm gonna say 4.3.
All right, why not? I'm not even gonna review your team, broski. I'm just gonna let what he said sink in. Um, personally,
I'm
I, I
sorry.
I think we're drafting Godwin a little bit too early there at the 6-8, and we're drafting Pittman just a little bit early there at the 7-5 over guys like Parker Washington, Godwin over guys like Jordan Tyson, Alec Pierce, Marvin Harrison. We're also going with Brock Purdy and Tyler Shock as our quarterbacks, and we took Chiga Okonkwo, who's competing with Trey. I think it was who's that second round tight end they drafted, Ben Sinnott. Uh, I, I I don't love it. I don't love it, but I do think this team, if the players hit, could compete. But you would need a lot of players to hit. But with that being said, guys, shout out to everybody for being here. Shout out to Teabaggin, Jay, Wilson, Why Not, Beamer, Super, Upside, Jason, T Schnizzle, Moogie, and Blue for all drafting with us. That was the one of the longest reviews we done in a while, guys. I'm glad a lot of people wanted their reviews done. Big shout out to Tom for being in here, brother. Tom, I appreciate you. I wish you were in this draft. Unfortunately, you couldn't make it. I don't blame it, man. You got happy life, happy wife, happy life, brother. That's the saying, I
There you
think.
go.
That's the saying. But I appreciate you being here, brother.
Yeah, no problem. And I appreciate all the feedback. It seems like a lot of people appreciated it. So um, I'm sure you'll be on in the future, and I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. You're always welcome to do this, my brother. You have an amazing, amazing rest of your night, broski. All right, guys. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for being here. We are doing a $25 draft right after this, so make sure you guys tune into that. Man, guys, it's early June. July's about to be in the corner. Then August is going to be there. You are never going to find these values again. I love drafting with you guys. Let's keep drafting. Let's keep having fun. Let's keep roasting. Let's keep drafting good teams. I will see you guys in the next draft. I will see you guys tomorrow. If I don't, I hope you guys have a beautiful, phenomenal rest of your night. Enjoy it, guys, and have an amazing, amazing